George takes a spirit walk, we find out Lisbeth is an undercover cop, and Ted gets kidnapped. It's all happening here at AfterBuzz TV. Stay tuned.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello! Welcome, AfterBuzzers, to the Nancy Drew After Show. Tonight, we're breaking down Season 1, Episode 8. I'm your host, Chelsie Overocker, and over to my far left, I have Kay here. Hi, Kay Montgomery, who just loves an old-fashioned mystery.
Yeah, I love this mystery, too. New fashion, but very spooky.
Very spooky, very spooky. And right next to Kay, we have Suzi G here.
What's up, guys?
And Suzi is a lover of all the CW shows. This one, you're loving too.
Starting to really love this one.
Yeah. And Suzi here is also in our live chat. So if you're in the chat room, say hello. And if you are a podcast listener and would like to join in, just simply go to AfterBuzz TV, select our show, and join in all the fun. And last but not least, we have Sam here.
Hello.
And Sam, you just love all the Nancy Drew books.
I do. I've read them since I was like 12, and the series is really good.
It is good. Well, this is one of my favorite episodes overall tonight. We're going to be breaking it down. We have the car accident. That finally is uncovered, and Ace is in a coma, unfortunately, and the Drew crew works together to get his spirit back in his body. And then we find out that Lisbeth is an undercover cop, and we find out that she's just trying to get more information from the Hudson family, so it's interesting to hear her take and a little bit more of her story. And then Carson explains how he was involved the night of Lucy Sable's death, but does Nancy believe him? We kind of still feel like she's questioning her father a little bit. So we'll see. But you're going to want to stay tuned because we have our special segment of Whodunit with Sam. And then for news and gossip with Kay, Adam R. Beach, who plays the chief, he has a new project coming up, so I cannot wait to hear how that is. But before we get into tonight's episode, what was your overall thoughts?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
So good, so spooky. So many questions answered, but then so many new ones to ask. Yeah, very exciting for me.
Yeah, I think drawing from last episode and this episode, they're two strongest, and I'm really just starting to love the show. With each episode, I feel like it's evolving a little bit more for me. It was great.
Yeah, they're really amping up for the mid-season finale. Like before we go on Christmas, usually that episode's kind of dull, but they've been just getting better and better.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Exciting.
It was really good, and it was spooky, definitely. But with the car accident, I was a little shocked because last time we left off, we were thinking that we're going to get this confession from Laura, and then maybe we're thinking that she's the one that planned this car accident. But we find out that the car was controlled by someone we don't know yet. We just know that there's a dirty cop in the game, but it doesn't necessarily mean he was the one that was controlling it. He could have a sidekick who's overlooking everything. Were you guys shocked by that, how they did an intake with that car accident?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. I was like, every part of it. I mean, I was shocked that Laura was still alive. I thought for sure she was going to be dead.
Right. Totally.
I was shocked that somebody had basically erased all the history. Somebody got into like the main portion, whatever, of the car.
Yeah.
I was just like, what? Yeah, at every turn. And then that there was a crooked cop underneath it all, and it's like the nice little dorky guy at the front. I was like, what?
Well, my first thought was obviously that some spirit had taken over the car when they were first listening to the recording. I'm like, did somebody like come in and push down? But then, like you said, towards the end when it all unravels, yes, a dirty cop. I did not like that.
No, and he's working with the Hudsons, which put them now as my prime suspect.
100%.
And yeah, I was shocked that it was, I think I caught his name at the end. It starts with an R? Rowley? Was that what they said the dirty cop's name was? And yeah, it was just weird because he wasn't really a main character. So out of all the cops, it was interesting that they chose him. But maybe he'll play a bigger role later on.
Right. Or do you just think that maybe they were paying him off as like a young cop that's kind of like, maybe I'm just going to get paid off to do this?
They just, I mean, that's their MO for everything.
Yeah.
You got a payroll. You just getting away with everything. You just paying everybody. Paying Carson, paying the cops. I was just like, what is
And
happening?
they have the receipts because that's what Nancy was showing was, hey, you know this is clearly going to a private account. Nah.
No.
Like on payroll?
That's shady.
Who knows?
It is.
But then the Drew crew's all working together because the chief sees Ace's spirit in the hospital. Quickly, though, before we get into that ceremony that they performed, we've learned a little bit more about the chief. We knew that he was working with Ace because he was helping him out with the deal. But I didn't realize how close he was with Ace's father. And he kind of thinks of Ace as a second son. Yeah. I thought, I don't think the chief really, I think he has good intentions, honestly. I'm not that suspicious of him anymore.
I think we saw a side of him in this episode, obviously, that we hadn't seen.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked it because no one had any idea that he knew about the spirits and Ace and the dad. So I kind of had a little soft spot for him in this episode and began to kind of gravitate towards him more and what he's about. And I want to learn more.
Yeah. It was definitely shocking for him to even know so much about Ace because this, like you said, the side we've always seen was him being rude or mean or aggressive toward Ace, and Ace felt the pressure. So I want to know what that pressure, there has to be more to the story unless he definitely is taking over that father figure.
Yeah, I thought when he came out with his story, I was like, wow, this is a really interesting theme. I see a theme running through the show of adults kind of stepping in and managing irresponsible young adults, managing their choices and decisions. Like, so we saw it with the police woman, Karen, doing it for Nancy when she found her head. And, she was like, you need to do these things and you need to be really careful and you're going to be arraigned, and kind of tipping her off and then helping her along the way. I saw the same thing with the chief and Ace, He basically did a favor for a favor. He got him off because he had really been in big trouble, tampering with all the computer stuff. And so I was like, wow, like this is really interesting that at first there were these people that we were suspicious of, but they really are helping these people out. I think you need that a lot in your early adult years when you just make stupid mistakes,
That's a good point. I didn't think about that, the connection between Nancy and Karen, and then with Ace and the chief. You're right. It's kind of like that adult figure wanting to make sure and want to protect them in a way.
I loved when Carson walked in, though, to the house and the chief was there getting ready, because it's like, who would ever thought that was going to happen in this episode? And for me, it was also great. I'm like, this is awesome. He's going to, get them into the spirit world.
I liked how Carson walks in and he's like, looks at Nancy. Okay, what did you do now?
Yeah.
Loved it. But I did not think for that ceremony we would have the chief, Carson, Nancy, George, and Nick all together. Did you guys see that one coming?
Not at all.
No. And I like it because, we get one person that gets chosen to go into the spirit world, and it's George. George just looks, of course it's me. I really like her character. But it's interesting that they made a point by saying Lucy Sable is still connected to that house, and Carson doesn't even know why. Because, we'll get into a little bit later, but Carson pretty much spilled everything with his involvement with Lucy. But why is she still connected to that house? What's her involvement? Unless she grew up there before Carson. I mean, I guess, I don't know.
That was my first thought, but then I'm still thinking that there's a connection that's still out there with Carson, so who knows?
Who knows?
Don't know.
But yeah, with George, she enters the spirit walk. Yes,
I'm gonna save it.
we're gonna save
Yes.
it. We have our thoughts on that. But with George, she enters the spirit walk, and it's blocked because of the tension between Carson and Nancy. And I thought that was interesting how they had to put it towards a 6-year-old Ace in his spirit with his dad. And the whole thing, I guess, is blocked because of the coins that they did in the last episode, too. So I'm confused. Because they were able to find Ace's spirit and Carson and Nancy were able to make amends, then is there still trouble with that spirit world, or is it still blocked? Because they didn't really explain if that is still an opening for spirits, or they get trapped.
I think it was just a guidance for Ace specifically.
Okay.
I don't know if it was something for all spirits, because we closed off Tiffany.
Yes.
And so now the next ghost that to be would be Ace.
Yes.
If he doesn't come out of the coma,
Right.
we don't really know, but he is still in this like underground. So I think them finding the baby Ace helped him maybe have more of a risk of living versus not, instead of him just becoming a ghost 100%.
Okay, that
Right.
makes sense. That was a good
That's
idea.
what I got.
Yeah.
And then, but what was more confusing to me was for her to take the toy. Was that like the mirror?
Yeah, so in a couple of episodes back, they explained that a spirit is like connected with an object, and that's why they're trapped between the two worlds. And with Ace, it's that bear.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
So that's like the Tiffany mirror.
That's the
Yes.
Tiffany
That
mirror.
the
So
chief
that's,
gave him,
yeah, because then they went back to the hospital, they put the bear next to Ace, and they have his spirit next to his body. But he's still in the coma. He still has a lot of healing to do on his own. But that's how I think spirits get trapped, how they explain it. So, anyone in the chat room agree?
Yeah, the chat room is on fire tonight.
Okay. What are they saying?
I mean, because again, I think that a lot of people are still wondering what Carson has to do with this and what the house has to do with it. And Carlos Hernandez says, did the chief say that there was something about the way the house was positioned that made it an opening for a ghost?
That's right.
So that's a great comment from Carlos, because that may be a reason why Lucy's connected to the home. So that's something to kind of go back and look into a little bit more. But I also think that people are really thinking that Lucy's still connected somehow to all of this.
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely.
Obviously, is what everyone's kind of saying here. And Georgia's mom is a suspect.
That's
What do you
interesting.
guys think about
Oh,
that?
interesting.
Could be. I mean, she's so connected to the spirit world. But one thing I was shocked about was the chief knows so much about spirits, because right away he goes into the Claw restaurant. It's like, okay, what have you guys been doing?
I loved that part.
That part was hilarious. Because then they just started running off. Well, George got possessed, and then we started singing, and then we did a seance. But then that was the second seance because we did another seance. I was just like,
They spill everything. There was no hesitation after that. They were like, okay, this is everything that we've done pretty much so far. And he's like, you guys have been reckless.
Yeah, and I'm like, do you all think you're going to jail? You just started spitting it out.
I know, no.
well, Bess came out first, right? Bess is always.
Of
Bess
course.
is always the one.
Beth, she's like, okay, well, maybe the first one to tell you what's going on.
I would not give her any of my secrets, Bess.
Yeah, no.
Means
No.
well, but cannot keep a secret. Okay, well, speaking of George, what do you guys think of Ted? She got kidnapped, and that spirit came, and I think it's the one that's connected from that dragon.
Right.
And do we have any thoughts on who that spirit is?
No.
The dragon?
The dragon spirit. That's what I'm calling it.
Completely flooring on that one, to be honest, because it's like, it's something, but I think it's evil. I don't feel like the dragon is there for a good reason, but I could be wrong. But I am not excited about the dragon.
Well, it went green, though. And remember, the lights go green.
yeah.
That means that it's yes.
Yes.
Means yes. But I cannot think about what spirit would come back and kidnap Ted. I mean, it's going to be really interesting for the
Right.
mid-season finale next week. But that left me...
But I was thinking, like, is it technically kidnapping Ted, or does it want Ted to take it somewhere?
Yeah,
You know
is
what
it
I
going to
mean?
possess
Did
Ted
it
or
come
jump
and-
into Ted?
Yeah, and was it like, guide me to this certain place, take me to your mom so she can do something to help me? Because mom has all types of ideas and connections, and
That's a great.
That
Yeah.
was part of... Yeah, I was going to leave that for predictions, but I think the mom could be involved in it, too.
I always go to the evil world. I'm like, it's bad.
It's bad.
but we saw that Ace's spirit looked like the creepy spirits, right? I mean, they just look kind of like shadow people with eyes, and so I mean, we don't consider Ace to be a bad guy. He looked like a shadow person, so maybe the shadow person is a good person. We don't know.
Yeah, and then there's conflicting things in here because somebody's like a serial killer ghost, but then other people are kind of with you, like perhaps it's a spirit that wants to lead Ted somewhere, which is very true. I think that's a really good
Yeah,
theory.
that's a good theory. I don't know, but that creeped me out, especially when I saw the dragon eyes go. I'm like, oh no. Because I kept keeping my eye on that toy for the whole entire episode. I'm like, what is it doing? What's going on? There's something in there. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it with the ceremony. Ace is back, and hopefully he is able to wake up soon. I hope he's not stuck in that coma again.
I know.
And then with Laura, she's still on the fence. We don't know if she's going to make it or not.
Do you think the spirit could be Laura?
Oh.
Because they saved Ace.
Yeah.
Oh.
So could it be Laura wanting to connect with her sister or something? Because she knows that they did something with Tiffany.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good one. You love the stump.
Did I just
true.
Did it? No, it could go both ways. And I still feel like we have to figure out who. Obviously, I don't think Laura is involved or a bit suspect anymore as we thought last week because someone wants her dead now with controlling the car.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that changes the whole thing.
I still think that she was in it for the wrong reasons, though. I mean, I still think she was like a little money rubber and whatever. But yeah, she's not on my list anymore. Ooh, Samantha's looking up. Is she on your list?
I don't know.
Off the list.
Today's off it.
Okay, this episode was really hard. It was hard for me to like really focus and get into it because so much was happening.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough that gave us enough to work off of. Does that make sense?
I think it's just little nuggets that they're dropping in this episode.
Yeah.
It's going to lead it to, it's going to plug all in for next episode.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what I'm thinking. But anyways, overall, I mean, I was a fan of the episode. So
Yeah.
I think it was good.
So there's another comment that is the ghost of the first case that Nancy had. Could it be the first? So could it be the ghost of the first case that Nancy had? The guy that she took down that is now dead that could have taken Ted?
Could be. Maybe. I don't know.
No, that's
Yeah.
too far.
That's a
Too
lot.
far
I
away.
think that ghost might also have something to do with the coins because when the coins were unleashed, that's when we started seeing all. So maybe it's a pirate. It could be Sebastian, right? Like it could be or a pirate. I'm saying.
No, I got you. They were
You know what I'm saying? It could be a boat person. What are people on boat called? Sailors. It could be a sailor. It could be a sailor. Or it could be
One-eyed
Sebastian. You know.
And,
Listen, guys, it's Sebastian because he's come back and he's like, lead me to those evil people that sank my ship. Take me to the Hudson family. What Hudson do you know, little Tad?
It could be. Everything's going up against the Hudsons. But that's what I'm thinking. That spirit walk, it's still not closed because that spirit was able to come back. And now spirits are transitioning into the real world. So who knows? I don't think they closed that portal completely or whatever they did with those coins.
Our chat room wants Jughead and Betty from Riverdale to come and solve
Oh, a crossover from Riverdale.
They would be good at solving the mystery, they
Who
say.
knows? Well, maybe we need to get Riverdale's after show in here. Our after show, we could do one big
show.
do a big crossover.
That would be so
End
fun.
of the
End of the seasons. But speaking of after shows, Kay has a message for us.
Yes, so we are so thankful for you guys being super fans and tuning into us every week. We have 3 things that you could do to support us here at the Nancy Drew After Show. First, we want you to know if you're listening to us via podcast to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. If you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up. And no matter if you're watching or listening, please remember to make a comment. We love to hear all your comments. So we're so grateful for Kevin and for Maria for creating this platform for us all where we get to talk to you guys and talk about TV that we really enjoy and love. So thanks for that.
Thank you, Kay. Okay, let's get into Lizbeth and her being an undercover cop. Well, first of all, do we believe this? Do you think we think her intentions are pure, or do you think she's still not?
Don't like her at all.
No.
Can I just say, let's give props out to Sam because Sam was like, something's up with her. I don't trust it from the get-go. So,
Yep, I knew it. I saw her right when she walked on the screen. I was like, she's no good.
The only
suspicious.
the only thing was at the end when they staged that fight between Nancy and Elizabeth, she put some force in that punch. And for a second, I was thinking, she doesn't seem like she's acting. Like she seems like she's really. Because even Nancy was like, "Wow, that was a hard punch." I don't know. I think she could be twisted. She could be with the Hudsons, or she wants something in it for herself.
I think so too.
I don't think she's an undercover cop. I think she said that because she knew that they were getting onto her.
I
Because it was a
agree.
really weird situation. Like, oh, I'm going to come to Bess in the middle of this closet thing. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't, hey, let's meet in the diner. Or, hey, I'm sad. Meet me in my little, whatever she lives in. UV? What's it called?
Why was she in the RV? I was like, I thought she moved in with Nancy.
Oh, yeah.
At the end, I was like, what is she doing in the
She
RV?
finds that place cozy.
Yeah, she likes it.
So, I don't know. She's just,
Yeah,
She's not good.
I don't trust her either. I thought the same thing. And that punch was
Yeah.
too hard for Nancy not to be bleeding. I was like, how is there no blood? She punched
like,
the mess out of Nancy.
closed her eye a little. And she was like, ooh.
Yeah, and again, external shockwave, Logan Knight, Carlos Hernandez, our regulars, Ivan Soto. No one trusts her at all.
No one. I don't trust her
So I think we're all on the same page that that's no.
because she doesn't want to go into too many details about her life. But wasn't she able to pull up some report though that Nancy was able to find, or did they already have that report about the cars?
Oh,
'Cause I think
yeah.
that
'Cause
I-
she was like, you can double check it against
Yeah.
my thing and da-da-da-da. Yeah.
And that's how they're able to prove the cop, the dirty cop.
But the thing is, with Lisbeth, if she is really working for the Hudsons, those Hudsons can do anything. So she could have gotten anything. Like, I just don't trust them, and I don't trust her. So I think the undercover cop thing is a complete farce.
And the thing is, with Carson, we'll get into it next, but he was saying his reasoning was, I wanted to get away from the Hudsons. I wanted to protect my family because this is what they did to a millionaire. And Lisbeth, she's not scared. That's why I'm thinking, I don't know if she's doing the undercover cop and trying to find research with the Hudsons because they're very powerful. And she's going in there with no hesitation. And to even be ballsy enough to do that stage fight in front of a Hudson in the limo, I mean, you don't think they were suspicious of that at all? I mean, they're not dumb. So there's something still.
Can I just say, mystery aside,
Yeah.
I was so sad for Bess because I was like, she is gonna break Bess's heart, and this is what I was worried about. And Bess is really getting into her and really liking her, and that little part where she was like, "Oh, are you guys gonna have to break up?" No, right? I was just like,
Get out.
Nancy was not happy.
yeah.
And that's why I said she should say no from the beginning. Remember I said, if you have butterflies, stay away.
Yeah, you did.
I said that.
You did.
And what happened?
Great.
What happened?
You're right.
Dating advice from Sam.
I took that too. I told my mom that. I'm like, if I get butterflies, I can't like the guy. Bad news right there.
Her theory was just proven. Right.
Speaking
So
of
funny.
bad news, we hear with Carson, he explains the whole situation between Lucy Sable, and he says that there was tire marks in the dirt that night. He found her crown, and then her dress was just dangling off the rocks. And he pretty much went back home, and he didn't want to get involved with the Hudsons. That's why he took the check and moved the family out to Europe for a whole year. Makes sense, but
I have a question. Why did he grab the dress?
Just leave it hanging.
Yeah, why? I was like, why did you take
and
the
how
dress?
to get back in his attic though? I thought maybe he would have grabbed the dress, but he didn't. He just said it was dangling, right?
Oh, I thought he said
he
I
said
grabbed
he
the
Oh,
dress.
he grabbed
Yeah.
the dress. Okay, yeah, that makes
I was
sense.
like, why did he? Why would I was like, why would
Because
he have
he's
grabbed
trying-
the dress?
Well, maybe because he's trying to cover up for the Hudsons a little bit.
Or why was he watching? Like, if was
He said they
hanging
wanted to
out
keep
with Lucy
eyes on-
and that happened?
I thought he said they
Or-
wanted to keep eyes on her. He was like, I didn't know why, but they wanted to keep eyes on
Yeah.
her. So I got the impression that he was the eyes at that point. Is that not right?
Okay, so this is a good comment, though, from the chat room from Carlos. He said, if there were tire tracks, why didn't they get investigated back in the day? So, again, there is a family that's covering up a lot of stuff.
And there could have been a dirty cop back in the day too that didn't get caught.
Yeah, that's
Totally.
true.
I feel like the Hudsons always has some type of cop in there from the get-go.
Right.
This one just got caught. But doesn't surprise me if there might be another cop that's going to get involved later.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if
But-
I was a rich matriarch doing scandalous things, I would
Yeah.
need a couple cops on the payroll.
Oh, yeah.
Just to cover up
Yeah,
nefarious
just
goings on.
In a
You
small
know?
town, totally.
You need to cover up
Fine.
your shady dealings.
But do we
It's a
believe
responsible thing to do.
Carson? Do you think his story checks out, or do you agree with Nancy because she still has hesitations with her dad. They're still not on the same level. She still is suspicious of him, I think.
I think it's one step forward, right? He out of the blue just said, hey, I saw this, when they were in a sweet moment of, I don't want to see anyone get hurt. And then he was like, but I did this and saw this and da-da-da-da. So I think it's one step forward to get her to understand him, but we still don't know the full story. I don't think he's ready to share the full story to her.
Agreed.
Because she could overreact per usual.
It wasn't the whole story. Agreed. I was like, he's holding back.
He's back.
telling some, like, I believe what he's saying, but it's not everything.
And he said he did take the evidence. He confessed to that.
Yeah.
But he also took the dress too, Lucy Sable's dress, to cover up for the Hudsons. And he's saying, okay, I took your evidence because I don't want you to get hurt.
Right.
What does that mean? That made no sense to me.
Yeah. I was like,
It only makes sense because he still knows the Hudsons are involved in the death and he wants to protect Nancy.
Right.
Because she's getting too close to the truth. That's why he took the evidence.
I just thought it was him being like, I want to protect you like normal because she gets into trouble so much.
All the time.
But now that you say that, that's a good one.
I mean, I still think it's weird, though, that he took the dress, then they buried it, and they took it out of being buried, then they put it in the attic. Like, there's so many unanswered questions. Not like that's like a huge thing, but why did they bury it at first? Then why did they dig it up? Again, back to the house. I don't know.
And the chief was around when Lucy Sable's death happened, right? He, back in the day, knew about these spirits because he, knows all this information about it. I don't know. Something with the chief, Lucy, and that house. Because you're right. Because with the chief, he even said this is the perfect house because between the mountains and this and whatever, it's
an on-ramp to the spirit world or something like that. And I thought that was interesting when they said, because when he came out with his feather, and Adam Beach is, he's an indigenous person. He's American Indian. So I was like, oh, I hope they don't make this hokey, oh, here comes the Indian medicine man, thing. Yeah. But I thought it was really point on when they said, each culture has their own on-ramp to the spirit world. I was like, that's interesting. Because you can see that across all cultures. You know what I mean? So I thought that was really interesting. And they, for that point in time, just accessed it the way he would. So I thought that was really a deft handling of that whole situation. Because he was my tribe and, going through that whole situation.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Good point. But yeah, I think he's still connected somehow. And it's just a little nuggets. Again, I think this episode dropped little hints, and it's going to lead into a big mid-season finale.
Right.
I think next episode we're going to be like, oh my gosh.
I'm scared already.
I know. I'm a little nervous. But, okay, so we're going to keep playing the guessing game on who we think the next suspect is. That leads us into our special segment of Whodunit with Sam.
Hello. We do this every week, and we want your guys' help. So if you're in the chat room, make sure you comment who you think done it, which means who you think killed Tiffany. I'm going to go first. I think that it definitely is Lizbeth. I don't think she's connected to the Hudsons. I think she is playing off she's connected to the Hudsons for the information, and then there's something there that we just won't know till next season.
That's diabolical.
That's a good one.
I hate to say this because I love his dimples, but I still am not a fan of Carson. And I hate to say it, but I just still think that Nancy's dad and mom, which I also don't like to say, I think there's something more to this story with them. So I still think that Carson is a little shady.
I'm with you. I agree.
Sorry.
Okay, don't be sorry.
I am going to say, when it comes to Tiffany, I think it was another dirty cop. It might have been Riley, but I think the Hudsons got somebody to do their dirty work. And it's just kind of like a nameless, faceless person.
Good point.
Yeah.
I'm still going with the chief. I think he was definitely connected with Lucy. And we see a sensitive side with him and Ace. But I don't know, especially with him, did he really not know that there was a dirty cop this whole time. You could have just been playing it out. He's just connected to so many situations that's hard not to rule him out as a suspect yet, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I kind of like the chat room because they're agreeing with all of this. We've got Elizabeth, we've got Ryan's mom, we've got the chief, we've got Nancy's mom, we've got Carson. So everybody's kind of all over right now, which I like.
I like it.
I kind of like that a lot.
That's good. Well, speaking of the chief, that leads us into our news and gossip with Kay.
Yes. So, Chief McGinnis, otherwise known as Adam Beach, has begun his own film institute. It's called the Adam Beach Film Institute. The mission is to provide a clear path to indigenous youth seeking entry into the media, arts, and film training industry. He says that the traditions or the teachings there are driven and guided by the traditions of indigenous storytelling. So they do classes and workshops there, and then they also do internships out to place their students in different projects around. It's based in Manitoba, but they do different stuff in all different areas, just depending on what's filming at the certain time. So I thought it was really cool and a very interesting thing, kind of to give back, a nonprofit to give back to his community.
I thought so. That's nice.
That's what he's doing.
Thanks, Kay. And that's awesome, Adam. So keep up the good work. Okay. Yes, we like it. Let's get into our predictions. I feel like we have a lot. This is going into our mid-season finale here. Kay, we'll start with you. What are you thinking?
Oh, man. Poor little baby girl getting... Okay, I'm going to say, guys, I don't think it's kidnapped. I think that she just went on a play date with someone from the upside down. No.
I know! It's a really bad play date.
A play date with someone from the spirit realm. Yeah. So I think that we're going to see George. Y'all think George has gotten tough before, but you know, George is like the mother of her family because her mom be out wilding. So she is going to be moving heaven and earth to find that little sister, and the person, the spirit, whoever led her astray is going to rule the day because George is going to snap, and that's going to be good.
Where's Alvina? I want Detective Karen back.
Yeah.
I feel like she's going to make an appearance next week. That is my prediction.
That's a good one.
I would like to see something involved with her.
I like that.
Same.
I think we're going to discover something about Nancy's mom. There has to be some other level, whether good or bad. We're just going to discover something about someone in the spirit world.
That's a good one. I think Ace is going to wake up from the coma, and he's going to be able to tell a little bit more about that car ride, because they kept going in and out with the video voice memo, and I think there's way more to that story than what they're saying right now. And once Ace wakes up, I think there's a little bit more that we're going to learn about Laura, and maybe with the car and why it went out of control. So that's kind of my theory. And yeah, we're going to learn. I think it's really going to just surprise us all, like, especially with that spirit that took Ted. I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. And I think we're going to see a little bit more with Owen, too, because I'm still not forgetting about Owen.
No, Owen is still out there.
Yeah.
I would like to see him back.
Yeah.
You just want to see, so you want to see him, period.
We want to see Owen.
Yes.
All right. Well, that...
Look how many Suzi's on.
Don't, remember, because you butterflies.
Yeah,
we don't want this.
We don't want
Get
want
him
these
out of here.
butterflies.
Fire extinguisher.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Before we leave, Kay, do you want to give out your social media handles?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at HostK, HostKay.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Suzi G Styles.
And you can find me on Instagram at storyof_Samantha.
And you can find me on Instagram at Chelsie Overocker. That's Chelsea with an I-E. And on Twitter at Chelsie Overocker. All right, you guys. We'll see you next week for our mid-season finale. Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.